now we start with the document formatting. This is the general guidelines that we follow again, general guidelines, depending upon the requirement of the journal, if it is regarding the article submission, depending upon the requirement of your university, if it is regarding thesis submission, please proceed. So I'll basically help you with the use of two most useful, powerful softwares that are available. All of us have used them, but not efficiently the way they should be used. So, of course, considering the time constraint, I'll also not be able to brief you with all the features of MS Word and MS Excel, but the ones that are majorly required for the purpose of formatting and editing, I'll be briefing all of them. So regarding MS Word, I'll help you how to organize your thesis and the research papers. And with Excel, of course, the calculations is there, but Excel is actually the software which I used for the purpose of tracking my literature. And I'll help you understand how this Excel can be used in managing your literature review. So these are more or less the topics that I'll be covering. Rather than using the presentation now, I'll straight away move to the Word file so that it becomes easier to have a practical understanding as to how this is done. Just a second. Okay. So I'll just share the screen again. Ma'am, the Word document is visible.
Yes, doctor. It's
Okay,
visible.
thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. So just a quick
Doctor,
overview.
can you close the navigation so easily will be visible?
I I haven't enabled any navigation, ma'am. I'm sorry.
No,
I
the navigation, the sidebar navigation is
okay,
okay.
okay,
Okay,
okay, okay. All right.
okay. Thank.
Is it fine now?
Yeah, now okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. So, this is the Word document, Microsoft Word, which each one of us is familiar. So, I'll just quickly help you to understand what are the basic features of MS Word, just a very quick introduction, and then we'll be moving to the technical features of MS Word, which are very useful for the time of writing your thesis or the research article. Before I start, just one more tip. While writing your thesis, please do not write or make separate set of documents for each chapter. Microsoft Word is a very powerful and efficient tool, and with this one software, one document can easily be managed, which can run to 400 to 500 or 600 pages very easily. You're not required to prepare separate set of chapters, because I have seen people doing it. I myself did it 6 years down the line because I wasn't aware of how this could be used. So don't use it now for creating separate chapters. Create one single file, one single document, and all the formatting work will be very easier and simpler for you. Just to begin, we all are aware this is how you select the font style that you're using. The general guidelines that we've been following is Times New Roman, but again, refer to your university guidelines. The Times New Roman is the most commonly used and accepted font style. The content, the font size, if we talk about, 12 is the font size that we normally cover for the content. 14 for the subheading and 16 for the heading. But again, refer to the university guidelines and again reiterate that. So this is how you select the font style, font size. This, of course, all of us are aware, bold, italic, and underline, depending upon the content that you're using. If you require it to bold, maybe this is a definition that I've been using. So I want it to be in the bold, italic, and underline. Then this is, you can directly increase or decrease the size of your document, the text that you're typing in, using these shortcuts rather than again and again typing the desired font size. Now these are the bullets that we refer while we're writing in points. These are the bullets we use, or you can number those bullets using the 1, 2, 3 and the other bullet options that are available. Then you have this multi-level list, which we will be using now, and I'll help you understand how to use it. Before that, we all understand this left, center, and right alignment. Center is generally when we're giving some heading or maybe any quotation that we're mentioning, we use the center alignment. Otherwise, this is the formatting justify alignment that is expected in an article or a thesis. Like, for example, this article, if you can read, this is starting from, of course, a margin, left aligned, but this is not right aligned. If I change this to just right aligned, this is how the text looks like, and this is how the center alignment looks like. However, an author, a researcher is expected to have the article in a presentable manner. So that presentation comes when there is equal margin both from the left side and the right side. So this is done through this justify alignment. So equal margin both from the right side and from the right left side, in the sense that the text has equal spacing from both the sides. So this justify is the alignment that is expected from you to use. We then move to this, uh, you can say, feature, which is line spacing. Now, general, again, general guidelines that we follow, this is 1.5 to 2 line spacing. However, please refer to the university guidelines. University guidelines are usually provided as to how you're required to proceed with the line spacing also. So if you select this, if you've already written, typed the document, just select, let's say it's 1.5. The gap between the two lines is how it is selected. It is now increased to 1.5. In case the requirement is 2, then increase it to 2. Refer to the guidelines and accordingly you can change. If you've already written it, not an issue. Maybe, say for example, you were submitting to a journal, your article got rejected. Now you're targeting some other journal, and that journal requires you to change the line spacing to 1.5. It's very easy. Select the entire document, control A, and then simply just change the line spacing. This command, which you can see here, is for the purpose of indentation. The para that you normally start, we all are aware that we indent it towards the right. So I'll just help you with this. The right indentation helps you to increase the indentation. If you want to reduce the indentation, you use this left command. So this is how you proceed with the indentation. Again, refer to the guidelines. If they require you to indent the text, use it, else leave it. Next, common basic requirements are with reference to your page. The margin requirements, this is how you're supposed to select the margins. It is through layout. You select the margins. In the guidelines, again, for the thesis, it is very clearly mentioned the margins that you're required to comply with in the document. You have few custom margins here, normal, left. Each of it mentions the amount of spacing from each, top, left, right, bottom. If you want to custom these margins, this is the option. You can customize your margins depending upon the requirement of the university. Increase or decrease it using these buttons. We normally, the guidelines that we follow, we have equal margins from the top, bottom, and right. From the left, we generally have an additional margin for the purpose of binding. So for the purpose of binding, we also have this option of gutter. If you can see this gutter, it is 0 as of now. If I increase the gutter position, you have this preview here. So gutter is basically an additional margin which is set for the purpose of binding of your thesis, which of course we understand because left part it takes into the binding. So your text might go into the binding the part which has already been bind. So it becomes difficult for anyone who's reading. So you create a margin, an additional margin to your left. If, for example, like the executive summary that I was discussing, I was
Dr.
supposed
Neha,
to.
Dr. Neha, sorry to disturb you.
Yes, sir.
Participants are requesting whether can you enlarge the screen or zoom the screen because in
Uh,
the mobile it shows too small.
I
If it is possible, I'm not sure how to do it. Also, if you can zoom it or
I
enlarge the
actually,
screen.
yeah, because these are the inbuilt windows. I can just zoom the Word file, but not these commands, the navigation
Yes,
commands.
yes. Just zoom the Word file if you can.
I am so sorry, but this cannot be zoomed. I'll still try, but these commands which are there, this is to zoom the document, but not this pop-up window which is here. Maybe I'll advise the participants they can parallelly open Word so that they can relate to what I'm saying in case it is not visible. I
No,
can
actually,
advise.
actually, it is visible. No problem. It is visible, but it's too small. Possibly those participants are watching using mobile phone.
Maybe, because there
Mm,
is no option to expand this window
okay,
also.
okay. No problem. Please continue.
Okay, thank you. And I'll again advise in case it is not visible, you may please open the MS Word so that it will also help you to retain in your mind once you do it yourself. Parallelly, if you do it, it will be easier also. So this gutter I was discussing, this is for the purpose of binding. Just to mention, you can change this gutter position also. Sometimes you want the document to be binded from the top, so you can change the gutter position to the top and accordingly set margins from the top. So this is how you set up the margins using this margin command from the layout. If you have the set of margins which you require, select it from here. If not, you can customize the margins. Next, we move to the orientation. The orientation of the paper, the document that you are writing. So we usually have it in the portrait form, like you can see here on the screen. In the landscape, it changes the orientation of the page. But in the thesis, we use portrait itself. Then you have the size of the paper. Size of the paper by default, before writing to start, please select A4, and in case your university guidelines vary, do accordingly. But general, the guidelines that we follow, we are required to select the A4 size of the paper. Next is your column. Well, this column is very important in the like not in the, of course, writing the thesis, but in most of the journal articles you might have referred to, you have seen that the articles have two columns, or articles generally have two columns. Like for example, you've written this text. You want the entire text to be divided into two columns. It becomes very easy if you follow this column command. You just need to select one, two, depending upon the requirement. Like for example, I just select the entire document and I divide it into two columns. So this divides my entire document into two columns. However, this is not how you're supposed to proceed, because what you might have normally seen, the title remains the same. However, when you proceed with the content, that is divided into columns. So, what you can do is while selecting columns, click on more columns and select the preset. Is it a two column or a three column? And apply to this point forward. If I select this point forward, the point where my cursor has been, it will move from here. So now my title is there for the whole document. It is not divided into columns. However, the rest of the text is in the form of two columns. So if the journal requires for you to create or write your paper in columns, please use this command. This is through layout. And columns, more columns. If the title, see, you can see here as well, if I use this point forward, you have a sample preview here. So that will help you understand how the command proceeds. Next I have is insert. Okay. Now
Dr.
before,
Dr. Neha, sorry again.
yes sir.
At the bottom right side, you have 100%, right? That one you can make it like 120.
So
Okay, yeah, yeah.
this
Yes,
is
yes,
what I
yes.
was talking. This is for the text, but for the pop-up windows
Uh,
that comes up, that cannot be zoomed.
It's all right as long as the skin is at least
Okay.
bigger now.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right. This is what I was also talking. This is for this document, but the other pop-up windows that comes up, they cannot be zoomed. Okay, I'll try to repeat the command so that maybe in case anyone would have missed, they might follow it again. Okay, so this is about the general formatting guidelines. We've discussed the font size, style, the alignment of the text. These are the commands that we've followed. Line spacing. Then we've discussed the margin requirements, the orientation, the size, and the column. We now move to the headings and subheadings. Now, regarding the headings and subheadings, what I'm basically trying to explain and want you to practice and follow is you're required to create a table of contents. We normally do it manually. I don't. And going forward after this session, I expect you also do not do it because you have very useful features here for headings. What you're basically required, because every chapter, every section will have headings, subheadings, and sub-subheadings. So each of these can be very easily organized and managed by using these heading options. What you're basically required to do this, for example, this is your text that you have written. Now, this is the first introduction. This is the chapter one of introduction. So I use the topmost heading, which is heading one. If you're required to number these chapters, use the multi-level list rather than using the numbers from here. Use the multi-level list and you have this option of 1.1 from the list library. This is the list library. You will be having access to this option, heading 1, heading 2. So as and when you proceed with the headings, it takes the next set of subheadings if required. So this is what is required for you to select. Select this heading. So it automatically takes the number 1. Now, once you have selected this, you introduce the topic, maybe you write what you have to write, and then you have a subheading as corporate social responsibility. Just required to select this option heading 2. Now, when you select this heading 2, it automatically takes a number 1.1. So, one is aware that this is the main heading. It starts with the introduction. So, with the introduction, when you introduce the topic, you start with the subtopic now, which is corporate social responsibility, and it automatically takes the heading 1.1. This is the inbuilt formatting for headings. You can change this formatting. It is very easy. What you're required to do is, say for example, the first heading you need to modify, because as you can see, it is blue in color. And your requirement for the thesis is not these multicolors. Black is the text color that is expected. So what you do, you have two options. You select this, you modify it as per the requirements. You can change the text color to black. You can unbold it if you want, or if you want it as a bold, go ahead. By default, Cambria is the font style that has been selected. If your requirement is Times New Roman, update it. If it is as per 16 font style, update that. Once you've done all the modifications, just right click on this heading and you have this option update heading 1 to match selection. So whatever changes you've done to heading 1, it will now be used as it is for the subsequent headings for heading 1. So once I select this update heading 1 to match selection, now if I introduce another heading for this, it will by default take the same formatting which I have just done. So with this, you can change the formatting very easily. Now again, I'll show you with reference to heading 2 so that, say for example, you have another topic here, CSR in India. And this is, let's say, heading 2 again. So this again picks up the requirement of the formatting requirement as per heading 2. You can select this, just one, modify it as per your requirement. Another option to modify it is right here. Instead of selecting, doing the modification and then updating, you have this option of modify as well. So from here also, you can select the font style that you want, font size that you want, bold, italic, underline if you want, and the font color. Now, if I change this, it has automatically been updated. And according to this, my 1.2 heading is also updated because I have changed the entire formatting for heading 2 as well. Now, if I proceed further to my document, I have been writing again. Now I have certain subheadings. Let's say this is another heading, emergence of CSR as an independent concept. Now this happens to be my third subpart. So this is the subheading that I want to use. Now why am I focusing so much on headings is, if you can see this option view in your screens, you click here, you have this button for navigation pane. Once you select this navigation pane, this will give you a, you can say, an index of the headings that have been created so far. So moving from one segment of the article to the other becomes very easy, because when you are writing the thesis, it normally runs in 300 to 400 pages. So scrolling from one page to the other becomes very difficult. You do not have to require, you're not required to again find a document, go to that document, how to reach out that document. This will help you. This index will easily take you to that segment. So if you follow this while writing the entire set of document, your life becomes easier actually. And with this, the table of contents, the index that you're required is automatically generated. I'll help you with that also. So this is how you're supposed to use the headings. Now, if you have certain sub more, like you can use these headings to 5 6 levels. You can further increase them if you want by further adding to these styles. So this is about the headings I was talking about. Next, I want to tell you about also one more thing. Say for example, you were writing something. This is CSR in Word. Let's take it as a main heading, right? So this takes up second point. Now, while writing, I realized, because you normally take 2 to 3 years to write your thesis. Now I realized this is actually a part of my introduction and not the second chapter. I am not required to cut, copy, paste the entire chapter if I have used the heading options. What am I required to do? Just pick up this and easily drag it to the place you want it to. So this now moves here. If you want this as a subpart to corporate social responsibility, you can easily move it here. It takes up this heading, but you want it as a subpart, you can change this to just elaborate in case it is not visible. It is not taking. So I'll just change it to heading 2. So it automatically becomes 1.2 from 2. So swapping between headings, moving the segment from one set of the document to the other also becomes easier if you've been using these heading options. Another thing that I'd like you to focus upon is when you use tables, how you're supposed to use it. I have tables in the other set of document. I'll show you how you're supposed to do it. So this is created in Excel. I want to copy paste it and use it in my document. I have copy pasted it. Most of the times you might have observed that the table exceeds the document, as in most of the margins are, let me check if I have a bigger table. Yes, this one. I'll use this one. Maybe if you have a wider margin, in that case the table exceeds your boundaries of the page, and it becomes very difficult for you to find the remaining half of the table, where is it gone. So how you required to fit in the table in your text, it is very simple. Just select the table layout. This is the layout that you can see. You have an option here, auto fit. When you paste the, this I'm talking about when you paste the table in your Word and it exceeds your margin requirements, just select the table, click on layout, and then click on auto fit. You're required to select auto fit window. So whatever is the window size that is available, the table will fit in. So it becomes very easier for you to have the table within the margins that you've set in, with all the contents intact, wherein you do not have to find the contents where they're lost. So I repeat, it is table. When you select the table, auto fit window. So that this command enables your table to be compact within one page, the window that you're actually working upon, the document that you're actually working upon. Also, with respect to the table headings, now this is also very important. The table, every table is required to have an heading, right? Likewise, every figure is required to have a heading, the title, what is it showing. So for the headings purpose, do not manually type in the headings. You have an inbuilt option for tables as well as figures to insert the captions. What you're required to do, just select the table and right click. Select the table and right click. You have an option here, insert caption. Now, when you select this insert caption, I am not sure whether this you can read the contents or not. This will give you an option to create a new caption, a new heading. You need to select the heading. Say, for example, this is a table. So I want this to be named as table 1, table 2, and then the heading for the table. So these are the labels from where you select. Is it an equation, a figure, a source, or a table? So I select it's a table. How are you required to position this above the document or below the document? Well, the general rule says for the tables, the headings are above the document. So I select above the selected item, and what should be the caption? This is, let's say, sector wise CSR contribution. So I rename this, or rather name this heading to the table, provide a caption to the table, and click on OK. So now my table has a heading which is auto generated, and I'll advise you to use this command because your requirement to create the list of tables and list of figures will automatically be solved. They'll be auto generated if you use this command. So I'll just repeat, select the table, right click, insert caption, write the details that you want to insert, table 1, 2, 3, and then enter the detail. Table number it will automatically pick up. So with this, you have this table 1 sector wise CSR contribution. If you wish to change the formatting for this caption, that is also very easier. Likewise, you changed the heading options. You have the caption also. This is for caption. You may either right click and modify here, or you may either modify and update it. So for example, I want it in the black color and Times New Roman. Font size is fine, 9. I click on OK. This is the general heading now. This is how the rest of the tables will look like. Now, for example, I've inserted this table 1, but prior to this, I also had this table, or I have recently inserted this table, and I want a table heading for this as well. So this is something I've inserted later, but this is to be used before in the document. So I need to rename it. So I already had a table 1, but ideally the first table should be table 1. So you do not have to worry. Word will automatically do it for you if you're using the captions. So if I right click it, insert caption, it will automatically pick up table 1. So this is about the total and average CSR expenditure, and I click on OK. So it takes up the heading. Now if you observe, this is automatically updated to table 2. So like this, if you have 40-50 tables in your thesis, the numbering becomes easier. It is very easy for you to number them because the word will automatically do your task and the list will automatically be generated. So your task is just to focus on the research and write your thesis. Rest will be taken care by word. Likewise, regarding the figures, also one more thing, okay, let me explain the figures and I'll come to cross-reference. Say for example, I have to insert a figure now. Let's say this figure. I have created this in MS Excel, let's say. So I insert this figure. Again, if it's a figure, it requires a heading as well. Just right click it. Sorry. Select, right click, insert caption. Similar practice. Now this is a figure and not a table. So you need to change the label. So the label is now figure. In case these labels are not available with MS Word in your system because I have created them, you can click on new label and type in the label name that you want to use. So this is how it's done, new label and create a label, and it will be automatically entered into the system. So this is a figure which shows sector wise CSR contribution. So I click on, and regarding the position, it says below the selected item, and that is the right practice. For the figures, we have it below the item only, and you click on OK. Now see, this figure name is automatically entered into the thesis below your document. Now, for example, if I insert another figure, maybe above this, so that should take up the number of figure 1. Again, it's very easy. Just select the figure, insert it in your thesis, add a caption to it by selecting it and right clicking it, insert caption, This is, let's say, planned expenditure, and you click on OK. This takes figure 1, and automatically this table is named as figure 2. So I've told you how to insert tables and charts, how to caption them or rename them. Another thing is cross referencing, which we normally do in our thesis, in our articles that we write. Say, for example, you're writing something or you're explaining this tables, you write as shown in table 1. Let's say as shown in table 1. So you type in table 1. Rather, what is advisable is you use cross reference. You have it in the references section. Just a second. System is hanged. Okay. Sorry, it's in the insert section. I'm so sorry. In the insert section, you have this cross reference command under links. So when you click here, it is asking what do you want to refer to? What cross reference you want? I say a numbered item or a heading, a footnote, equation. What is it? So I am talking about a table. Now it will ask you which table, because this document has two tables as of now, this table 1 and this table 2. So I select I am referring to table 1. Now it will ask you what exactly do you want to enter in the text, just the caption or table name and number or only the caption text. Let's say I want to insert only the label and number, and I click on insert. So as you can see, it has, okay, the cursor had moved here, so it has taken up table 1. So as shown in table 1, it takes up here, I'll just cut paste it. If your tables are cross-referenced, your work becomes easier, because let's say if you insert and in any additional table eventually, and there's a change in the table numbers, so you're required to change the entire text again. That becomes a difficult task because your table is not cross-referenced. Now, if I show you what I'm basically referring to, let's say I insert another table, this one, and this is now taking the number table 1. Insert caption. This is a table. So this takes up table 1. This is EFA, CFA results. Okay. So this is table 1 now. But I had initially cross-referring. So the table 1, which was initially table 1, has now changed to table 2. So you're not required to worry. Just right click and click on update field. So it is automatically updated to table 2. So your cross reference actually helps you, like while writing anything in the document, if you've made any additions, any modifications, so that will be taken care of automatically if you've been using these features of cross reference and inserting captions. So this is how it becomes easier to cross refer. And the indexes, I was talking about the table of contents. So just one thing that I wanted you to use and access is you have an option, the headings that I was briefing you. So just how you insert the table of contents, you are not required to manually enter the table of contents. If you've been using these headings, what you're required to do, just click on insert, sorry, references. You have this option table of contents. You click on table of contents. I haven't used the page numbers, so there might be a slight change. There are few built-in formats for the table of contents. You can customize also if you require. So I use this, and automatically this table of content is generated. So if I make any changes in the documents, the page numbers will also be automatically changed. So your life becomes easier. You do not have to worry. I moved one section from one page to the other. Now, what is the next page number I need to change? Word will take care. You actually do not have to worry about it. And regarding the table of figures and table of list of tables that I was talking about, you can see that as well. This is the option. Under captions, you have this option as table of figures. When you select it, it will ask you which table do you want to insert. You have figure, source, table, all that you've been using in the document, and these are the previews available. So I want the table of figures. So I select figures and then click on OK. So all the figures that are used in the document, the entire list will be generated here. I have inserted two figures, planned CSR expenditure, which is on page number 5, and as you can check, this is hyperlinked, cross-linked. Just by clicking on this, you can directly move to the respective table. It will automatically take you because they are automatically hyperlinked. And regarding the list of tables, just again go back to this option, right click, and I want to use the list of tables now. Click on OK. And the three tables that I have inserted, the list has been created, the index has been created, and again cross-referenced. So using these commands actually makes your life easier because this set of initial pages are auto-generated and you do not have to worry. Again, if I show you if a slight tweaking in the document, if I move this table from this page to the other page, let's say I have taken it from here and I've pasted it somewhere here, right? And now I wish to change the page number also because the table has been changed. So you just select this and right click, update field. It will ask you want to update the entire table or just the page numbers. I set the page numbers. So it changes because I have changed the document. So it will automatically update. So if you change the sequence from one page to the other, the page numbers will automatically be updated. Another thing that I wanted to focus upon is headers and footers. I'll just, let's say, which most of us have been facing. You might have observed the initial pages of the thesis are generally numbered using Roman numbers 1, 2, 3, while the rest of the document is numbered as per the numbers that you've been using. So I'll tell you how do you change it and how do you create breaks in the document. First of all, let's insert the page numbers. So for the page numbers, you can click on insert and then you have an option of page number right here. So you want to insert page number, it will ask you where do you want to insert, top of the page or bottom of the page. So in the insert command, you have page number. So bottom of the page towards left, center or right, I want it right aligned. So it has inserted the page numbers. Let's see. It is there in the entire document now. Yes. Now, for example, this is the table of contents and the introduction section. I want this introduction section to start from the next fresh page. So what I'll do, just one more thing, please don't, if you want to change a page, please don't continuously press enter, 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 because that will unnecessarily change the formatting of your document. If you further need to make any changes, it will take up all those enter commands again. So if you want to start with a fresh page, use the command control enter. It will automatically change the page. Or insert in the page break option, you have this option of page break. Use that. Don't press continuously press enters to move to the next page. That will unnecessarily change the entire formatting of your document, and again you need to redo the work, which makes no sense. So let's say this is the table of contents and I want to rename it with the number should not be 1, it should be the Roman number 1. So how do I do? I create section breaks. How do we create section breaks and how is it different? I'll tell you. This is layout and you have this option break. So when you want to move to the next page in the same, let's say, chapter, you move to the page break. When you want to change a section, let's say you've done with the introduction section, done with one chapter, and now you want to move to the second chapter of theoretical background, you use the section breaks. Like in this case, table of contents is one section. I am now writing my thesis, so there needs to be a section break. So whenever you need a section break, please ensure you're on that particular page. Like for example, this is the page. After this, I want to insert a section break. I go to layout, breaks, and insert section break from next page onwards. So I have a break here in the document, which is not visible to you as of now. But if you want to see, this is the hide and show command, which helps you to see the section breaks. See, it mentions there's a section break to the next page, page break, all the commands that you've given, it can easily be seen using this hide and show command. I'll enable this command off and I'll help you understand what I'm basically talking about. So since I've created a section break here, which can also be seen using the header and footer commands, let's say I want to insert a page number now. I can easily select it or move to the header and footer by clicking on this. Now the footer has been activated. Now this is, as you can see, I don't know if it's visible to you. This says section 1 and this says section 2. Now I want a separate type of formatting for section 1 and a separate formatting for section 2. I'll change this page number, format page number, and I want to change this to this number. Start at 1. Okay. So this has started at Roman number 1, while the rest of the document is in the initial previous formatting that I had done. If I wish to change or insert a section break here also, I just need to select it and unselect this option link to previous, because it is linking to the previous section. I do not want to link it to the previous section. This has no relation to the previous section. Rather, for this page number, I want the number to start from page number 1. So this has changed to page number 1. So I have an initial page for the table of contents, which is in the Roman number 1. And then I have changed the rest of the section to follow the other requirements of 1, 2, 3, 4 number. So this is how the page number is updated for the rest of the document. And you can close this and update the table numbers here, because I have made a slight change. So automatically the table numbers are updated. You do not have to do it manually. Word will do it for you if you've been using the Word efficiently. So see, the introduction was shifted to the third page. Automatically this has been updated. Another thing regarding the header and footer, you might have also seen you can insert your respective headers also. For example, I want to insert a header here. So this is the table of contents. Just mention and close this header. So you have it here. In the next, you do not want table of contents, rather you want this as an introduction. Since you have created a section break, just select, unselect link to previous and rename with the name that you want, introduction. Close the header. Accordingly, you can change the headers also using the section breaks. So most of it I have covered. Just one more thing that is important and essential for you to know while writing your article and thesis is the option for track changes. Now let's say you have written your set of document and you've shared it with your supervisor for the purpose of reviewing the document. So you can use this option, track changes. It is there in review. When you click on this, it is enabled. Now what is the basic use of it? Any change that you do in the document is highlighted. Like for example, I have inserted anything, so it will clearly mention in some of the other different formatting, which is different from the regular text. Let's say I want to delete this word, so it will strike it off. So any changes that you've made are completely highlighted so that you can review what changes have been done. Let's say your guide wants to add a comment here, so you can just select, right click, new comment. Maybe he mentions you need to cite the author. So you have a comment here. So while you are reading this, once he has been reviewed your article, so you can easily, using these track changes, understand what changes he has made in your document using these track changes. So any additions, any deletions, any movement from one section to the other, all of these will be shown here. And in case it is not clear, you can select this review pane. It will show you Neha Kumar has commented, Neha Kumar has inserted these words, she has deleted. So entire summary is generated here. There are total 4 revisions in the documents which I have just done, and it is clearly mentioned here. I have inserted a comment. If you agree to it, you can mention, maybe you've done this work, reply, done. So that when you share it with the other person, he's aware that comment has been done, taken care of. If you want to delete it, right click and delete the comment. Just select and delete the comment. So this is how you use this track changes option. And most importantly, once you're through with your thesis, please run a spelling and grammar check. This review, spelling and grammar check, any grammatical errors that you've done in the document, it will be very useful for you before your guide comes to know about the grammatical errors that you've done. It is advisable to use this, and in case you have any other softwares like Grammarly, that is of course an added advantage, but Word has this option for spelling and grammar check. Please review it. Apart from that, in case you forget the grammatical or any other method, formatting errors that you've made, it will highlight it. Let's, if you can see, it says there's some error and it will suggest you what changes can be done. So please run through this command. It is very important for you to understand that it gives a very bad impression to the person who's reading your document if you've made certain grammatical or formatting errors. Another, with Word, I think I'm almost done. One more thing that I was talking about Excel is, I'll just open the Excel sheet. Okay. So regarding the Excel, I was talking about, apart from just calculations and storing your data, you can actually use it for managing your review. For the ones who've already started writing their thesis, not a problem. For the ones who are just starting, please, please use this technique, use this method. It will make your life easier. What I'm basically trying to say is, if you refer to any article, this is just an additional 5 minutes job that you're required to do. Just write down the details, the basic details: who is the author, year, the topic of the study, the objectives of the study, the methodology he or she has referred in the study, the results, the research gaps, and any remarks. This becomes very easier because 2 to 3 years you've been reviewing papers. You obviously forget what you had referred 3 years back. But this Excel sheet will help you to easily come back to that article if you have proper details. Because if you remember, I had referred to this questionnaire sometime back. I don't know which questionnaire it was. There are 120 articles in your document, in your thesis. Now you are trying to open each and every document to identify. It will be very difficult for you. If you can see, I'll show you my. I was writing my thesis in the LR section. This is the literature summary. Well, I was writing my thesis because I had referred to somewhere around 200 articles, though I started a little late, so I missed few of the items. So what I used to do, I used to capture the basic details that were required: the author name, the year, the objective of the study, the methodology. Generally, I used to mention in the remarks section. I had created subfolders for each of my literature because I had been working objective wise. So likewise, I had created all the folders, and in the respective folders, I had numbered those files with the name that was its serial number. So for example, if I wanted to refer this, let's say if this paper you can refer to fifth serial number, this says refer for future. Panel data is used in this because I had also used panel data. So I wanted to refer to some paper. So I know this is available in this folder with the file name 5. So when I am working on panel data and I wish to use a similar technique, I just need to refer this paper. I am not required to memorize and remember each and every paper. Which was the paper I referred to becomes very difficult. See, it says this paper while I was referring to, it was covering the last objective of my thesis. This the intro, some papers can be used for intro. Certain variable was used in this paper, so I wanted to refer to this paper. So if you add remarks like this, referring or going back to a particular paper will be very easy for you. So I'll advise, please follow this practice. Rename the documents. If you cannot rename, just copy paste the name here so that if you want to open that document, you know where it is actually placed. So you have folders, subfolders, please reuse them. So with this, I would like to end my session. I have briefed you enough about the MS Word features and MS Excel. And please, 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 it's a request. In case you've missed on to anything, you can refer to the video again, because like few of them were raising a concern that the content is not visible. If it is the issue, please simultaneously open MS Word and practice it, and the commands, the functions, the features which you are now aware of, please start using it. It will actually make your life easier. And for the ones who just started writing their thesis, please create a literature summary using Excel. It will be very helpful for you. So I'll stop here and I'm open for questions, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Nia, for a wonderful presentation and also very useful. You shared the tips and the tricks. Okay, so now we are moved to our question answer. Hello, doctor, can you hear my
Yes, ma'am.
voice?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible, ma'am.
Okay, doctor, sure. I'm sharing you some questions which we got from our audience.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So, um, doctor, did you get the questions?
No, ma'am, it's not visible.
Actually, I shared in the WhatsApp.
Okay.
Okay. Or is it? Uh, should I read? Is it okay? Or
I'll take care, ma'am.
okay, doctor, sure.
So this is the ones that you've already shared, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I think, doctor, the it will be from here. Is it any formula for writing a conceptual framework?
No, there's no formula for writing conceptual framework. It is about the concepts. Just you need to understand the concepts and write.
Okay.
Is it
And
necessary to have a diagram to bring all the variables together under conceptual framework? See, you need to write it obviously, but if you think a diagrammatic representation is a better visualization of what you're trying to say, please use a flowchart and explain it. In your structure you mentioned that objectives will be mentioned in chapter 1 and 3. No, I mentioned either in chapter 1 or in chapter 3, depending upon the guidelines that your university is following. That is why I highlighted in red color that you may either use it in the introduction section or use it in the objective section. Do not duplicate it. Yes, ma'am. These questions are done.
okay, doctor. The next question is in your thesis structure, you mentioned that objective will be mentioned chapter 1 and 3. So
Done,
is
done.
it?
Ma'am, there is no repetition required. You should either include in chapter 1 or in chapter 3.
Hmm.
You're not required to duplicate any section in the thesis.
Okay, doctor. The next question I'm sharing. Okay, this one.
If we approach sample based on our personal connections through WhatsApp or email,
Dr.
how?
Neha, now, Dr. Neha, I'm putting the question on the screen. You can look at the
Yes.
screen now. It's okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Look at the screen
Is
now.
it possible to apply this method after you already done your work manually? Which method is he talking about? Regarding writing the thesis, or for the literature that I was talking about? If it is regarding writing the thesis, even if you've done it, not a problem. You can, because the document that you just observed, it was an already written document. So I started formatting it. It was not formatted initially. I started formatting it once it has already been written. So if you've not started it, start doing it using the formatting options. If you've already written it, not a problem. Use those options, they are equally available to you. And if you're talking about the literature review part, the table that I was talking about, if you've already done it, like the literature review section is written, then there is no use. But say, for example, you have done 30-40 papers and you're still left to review other 150-200 papers. So going forward, you can use this technique. Can I make literature review like a table alone that will just have in it author, name, title, methodology, limitations? Okay, Kamal, actually, when we talk about literature review, it is there needs to be some set of connection established. You cannot just simply have one analysis, two analysis, three analysis in the tables, because when you identify the gaps, because your objectives are the gaps that you've identified. Unless you link one literature to the other, how can you understand that there's some gap which has been identified? So, just by writing a table won't suffice unless you have it in writing as to how this literature is connected to one another, right? So, it says, how do we have a heading to be inserted in the left navigation pane, but the document purposely does not contain any headings or titles? Okay, I'll show you in case it is not visible to you in the word section. I'll show you how to insert it. Just a second. I'll share my screen. See, in my case, these heading options are active. What I got from your question is these heading options are not available. So you have this option, just click here. Sorry, click here. You have this option of create styles. You might also have an option of manage styles, because I've already included all of these styles, so it is not visible here. You'll be having an option of manage styles. When you click in there, you have certain items which are hidden, which includes these headings also. So when you select those headings, it will be auto generated. Then it will be visible. In case not, you can create a style of your own by clicking on this create a style. I want to create a style for my thesis writing, and style 1, let's say I want to modify it with certain headings, subheadings. So all that can be done using these commands, ma'am, in case it is not visible here. So you can either manage styles. From there it will be a hidden option, because in my case it is already visible, so it's not showing. But you'll be having this option to create manage styles. From there you can use that, and then accordingly use that particular style that you wish to follow for your thesis. How can someone write good research questions? Being a researcher, that is the you can say quality that is expected from a researcher. You review good research papers, good literature review. That will only help you to write good research questions. Otherwise, it's very difficult, because this is your thesis. You are supposed to write it. Does it work for equations too? Yes, of course, it works for equations. Like I selected insert caption table, then figure. Likewise, you can select equation, then accordingly convert. And also, if you want to insert the list of equations, that will be pre-generated. Hope there is no problem if one does the formatting manually. Of course, not a problem. You are increasing your work. You have the work of writing the thesis and again the work of formatting it. How can I put Roman numerals and Arabic numerals in the same document? You can create section breaks, as I had explained. By creating section breaks, there's a break in the document. So you can have a separate set of formatting for each of these sections. For example, I have created 3 sections. So for section 1, the headers and the footers that I insert, they'll be completely different. I can change the headers and footers for the second section, and likewise the third section. As I directed you, the section breaks are there in the layout. Breaks option are there. You can select section break. How to merge all the chapters if you have created separately from the beginning? Not a problem if you've already done it. I'll just show you how do you merge it. Very simple. If you've already created the documents, say for example this is the Word document, you click on insert. Let's say this is one document which is running into say 43 pages, and now I want to insert another. This was chapter 1. Now I want to insert chapter 2. What I do, I click on insert. This command, you can see this is object. You right click and text from file, because I already have 3 files, separate files for chapter 2, 3 and 4 likewise. So I click on text from file. Now it will ask you which file do you want to insert. Let's say I have already an existing file. Let's say this LR. So I select, click on, then this document is automatically inserted. So whatever content was there in that LR document, it has been automatically inserted. So this is how you can merge two files. You do not have to copy paste particularly. Insert this object option, text from file, and that text will automatically be inserted. And like this, you can merge the different chapters that you've created. What are the elements of the background of the study? Background is what you say, like the entire story that you create about the why you're doing this work, what was the need of doing this work. So this is the story that you are creating before you are starting. So the entire background is, we do not have any specific sections or subsections to it. We title it as background of the study, wherein we create the entire story as to this was the issue, this led to this, and this led to this, and so this is how we are proceeding to identify how will this be fulfilled. My question is, if we approach sample based on our personal connections, how do you justify? Okay, sir, if you approach like the method of collection, so what you're required to do in the sampling technique, you mentioned that it is convenience sampling, but we do not generally use this term convenience sampling. We mention it is non-random sampling. And regarding the methods that you use for data collection, you mentioned that maybe due to COVID, yeah, due to some constraints, you could not physically visit the people to share these questionnaires. So on the in the available contacts that you have, you've shared it through email, through WhatsApp. We generally do that, as in all the papers, research papers that we have written during our COVID that were based on the primary data. We've mentioned these, and they are equally acceptable because there was a limitation to reach out. How does one avoid plagiarism? Well, of course, do not copy paste. Read, and rewrite. Please, please, please do not copy paste. Read a document, reread a document, and then summarize in your own words. Maybe you can refer second day and then rewrite. You might yourself make a few changes. So if you avoid the practice of copy pasting, plagiarism automatically is free. There is no question. If you merge separate chapters, you can generate table of content automatically. Yes, of course. Like I just merged the other set of document. If I again start numbering, I start with the second chapter heading. I select heading 2, 2.1, 2.2. Automatically, the table of contents will be updated